All right. See some. There we go. Okay.
Welcome.
Equals, darling. Hello.
Hello.
There's Nina.
Yeah, there she.
Everybody. Hi. I have a few words that I wanted to say today. I won't take long, but I wanted to welcome everybody here at Laksam in the center and also around the world. Thank you very much for joining for this special teaching in the series of teachings we have had with Venerable Robina. And Venerable, I have to say that we have been discussing before you arrived and looking at the Module 14 requirements, which is a 3-month Vajrasattva retreat.
Oh, I didn't even know you were tell me about it. I was supposed to talk about it. You better tell me what they are.
3-month Vajrasattva retreat, Venerable.
Chocolate.
A two-week lamrim retreat, 100,000 prostrations.
Wow, it's quite intense.
It's very intense, and 3 Nyung Nä. So
50 kilos of chocolate.
50 kilos of chocolate. So
Venerable,
Venerable, you are well renowned for inspiring people to do amazing things, but I feel like tonight your powers are going to be put to test. We really want to be inspired.
Okay, so I mean, I can talk about it for 5 minutes, maybe. Then we have to think of another topic. I don't know what to say. Over what period do you have to do them all?
There is no time like
You
do
just
it at your own discretion.
And then you can teach after that.
Right.
So maybe next life then.
Maybe. Yes.
Blimey. Okay, what to do? How interesting. That's what I'm supposed to talk about. Even look at the topic. Who made that topic up? Lars, did you do it? He's not there. Where's Lars?
Yes, I'm here.
You're there. You made up that ridiculous topic, did you?
Yeah, we did it together with. I did it together with Nina.
No,
Sorry for that.
okay, so the question is, what in the name of heaven, as Wolfgang, there's Wolfgang, and as he asked me when we had a talk, what's the benefit of putting your body up and down on the ground? It's a good question. I mean, isn't it? Which is what a prostration is, you know, not to mention what else?
Vajrasattva retreat, lamrim retreat, and Nyung Nä.
Okay. All right. So we're going to be together. So we're here together tonight to listen, think, analyze, contemplate these concepts to see if there's some meaning in it to help us develop our qualities so we can be of benefit to others. That'll do. So Sangye Chodam, just don't do mandala. Last, just stick the prayer up for the people. You put it up on the page, last, or Tara. This is the refuge prayer. We'll just sing it here in the room. If not, don't worry. Just think.
It's coming.
Oh, it's coming. Okay. All right.
Yeah, Lars
Okay.
is getting it.
Okay.
Because there's so many.
I know. We also
Coming
have a PDF with the list of the
Don't
items.
worry about that. Doesn't matter. It's more just the meaning of it all, why we want to do it. Where's the
Okay.
prayer, Lars?
No, Lars.
For the Zoomers.
Coming. Here we are.
There we go. Just do the refuge prayer. And we're saying, no, yeah, that's it. That's one. So we're saying, I'm going to say it in English one time. Just we're reminding ourselves we rely upon the Buddha, his teachings, and the Sangha. And we're thinking, not that one, that's a different prayer. Not by the virtuous karmic seeds we plant in our mind by listening to the teachings. May we become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Thinking like that. Sangye Chodan, Zoki Tongnam La, Jancho Badu Dagni, Kyamsu Chi, Dagi Chernyan, Gibe Sonam Ki, Drola Penche, Sangye Drupa Shog, Sangye Chodan, Zoki Tongnam La, Jancho Badu Dagni, Kyamsu Chi, Dagi Chernyan, Gibe Sonam Ki, Drola Penche, Sangye Drupa Shog. That's it. Okay, enough. Okay, so what is the point of doing prostrations? And what is the point of doing a retreat in which you do prostrations as well as starve yourself? And what is the point of doing a retreat where you go through and contemplate the different philosophical and psychological views of the Buddha? What's the point of all that? Well, you know, the bottom line, the essence of the job you're trying to do as a Buddhist, the fundamental job, that's how we talk all the time. The actual job of being a Buddhist, the actual job of being a Buddhist is very simply lessening the delusions in the mind and growing the virtues in the mind. That actually is it from here until you are a Buddha. And that's not being sarcastic. That's the actual job. It's like the technical thing you're doing as a Buddhist. Gradually removing from your mind the misconceptions and gradually developing in your mind the virtuous thoughts until eventually Buddha, you've rid the mind of all the rubbish. Da, you've developed to perfection the goodness. So that is actually the job. That's actually what you're doing as a Buddhist. Every second you observe the anger and you go against it, that's being a Buddhist. Every second you think of patience and you practice it, that's being a Buddhist. Because the fundamental point that Buddha has found from his own direct experience is that these delusions, these misconceptions, these emotional afflictions are not a core of our being, are not intrinsic. They don't define us. They are there, vivid, and play a massive role and have for many lifetimes. But fundamentally, this is what Buddha has found, this genius, brilliant person has found from the depth of his own experience that these states of mind are not integral to who we are. They're not oneness with our mind. The simplest example, I like the analogy, is like water. Water can be polluted. But we know by definition that pollution is an additive. This doesn't quite work with the mind because nothing was ever added at any point, but it's something that's not intrinsic to the water. Water is by definition H2O. I mean, using that simple, whatever the word is. Pollution, it's not H2O P27. If it were, don't remove the pollution, please, because you then change the character of the thing. But by removing the pollution, you now discover the true nature of the water. It becomes, and that's the point. That H2O in that glass of polluted water, the H2O is always there. It is always there. But the pollution can be removed. That's the mind. So the pollution are the delusions and the virtues are the H2O. It's a way of saying it, a simple way of saying it. That's what Buddha has found. Now, it's totally contrary to what we feel. We believe that anger and depression and jealousy do define us, are at the core of our being. And all our modern psychological views and neuroscientific views would laugh at this idea that you can get rid of them. It's like cutting off a part of your brain. It's like insane. It's a demented idea to think you can get rid of anger and pride and jealousy. But that is the Buddhist view. That is what being a Buddhist is. So it happens to be quite a difficult job. So there are other practices, and this is certainly the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, that are called preliminary practices. They prime your mind. They enable you to do the actual job. It's a little bit like, let's say you're 20 kilos overweight and you've never picked up a tennis racket, right? And you suddenly see about tennis, you get all excited, and you go to Rafa or Roger. Probably Roger, because you're all Swisses, aren't you? That's right. Roger, you like your Roger. So you go to Roger. It's a really good example. You go to Roger. You say, please show me how to play tennis, Roger. And he looks at you. He'll go, yeah, I will. But I want you to go off and lose 20 kilos and go do nutrition and study at the university, tennis philosophy and learn to do this and do lots of push-ups and this. Oh, Roger, you didn't hear me. Show me how to play tennis. And he will repeat his answer. So on the face of it, what the hell has jogging got to do with playing tennis, you will think? What the hell has going on a diet got to do with tennis? What has, learning about how to hold, all those things that don't look like they've got to do with tennis? But it's obvious you're not ready to play tennis until you have done the preliminary practices of your push-ups and your jogging and going on a diet and learning to do this and do that. You have to prime your body and mind. You prime your body first, then you can begin to play tennis. We get that. That's the preliminaries. So of course it's more abstract because it looks like doing a bunch of rituals. As Wolfgang said, what's the benefit of putting your body up and down on the ground? Well, there's none, unless you know what it means. It's like asking, what's the point of sticking my hand out? Like you meet a Tibetan, you poke your hand at them. Hello, Tenzin. They look at your hand. Yeah, nice hand. What do you want me to do with it? They've never heard of shaking hands, for God's sake. And that's the point. Everything, if we really analyze, and this is emptiness, everything we do with our body is just culture. Tibetans eat a certain way. We eat this way. When you go to a Tibetan place, it's like those ads. I think HSBC did them one time, posters. In different cultures, you behave differently. If you go into a Tibetan place you take your shoes off and you're considered rude if you don't take your shoes off. You go to some fancy party in Zurich and you take your shoes off, you're considered rude. So everything is culture. How you work with your body and speech is totally cultural. That's karma. That's all karma means. So, but everything you do with your body and speech has meaning, but you've got to give it meaning. Sticking your hand down and going shake, shake is in its nature essenceless. But if it's mixed with hello, how are you? I'm happy to meet you. It suddenly has meaning. That's it. So prostration is what? It's a particular thing that you learn in a culture. You put your hand up here, and that's a prostration. That's respectful. That's called a bow or a prostration. Respect, saying, you see, you put a hand, person's hands like this. That's respectful. Then you go up here, and you think you're creating the cause to achieve the Ushnisha of the Buddha. I never know what it means. I always ask. I forget to ask. That lump on Buddha's head. But Robert Thurman said, Buddha's got so many brains they're popping out. So I think that's a good enough explanation. All right. Then you put your hand here, and that's create the cause to achieve enlightened mind. And you put your hands here, and that creates a cause to achieve enlightened speech. And you put your hands here, and that creates a cause to achieve enlightened mind. So that has no more intrinsic meaning than a handshake, but you make it meaningful by imbuing it with thoughts. That's everything. Picking up, this and going, has no meaning. But when you know it's called eating food and triggering a pleasant feeling, then you give it meaning. Everything is like that. There's emptiness, Wolfgang. Where's he gone? He disappeared. I was answering Wolfgang's question long. I didn't answer him very long when he asked me the question. There he is. He's there. Wolfgang? I can see.
Yeah,
you heard
I'm
me.
here and listening.
Are we communicating? Good, honey. It's emptiness. This is proving emptiness. Nothing has an intrinsic meaning. Nothing has an intrinsic meaning. It's what you give it. This is the meaning of emptiness. So if I'm trying to, do the job of removing delusions from my mind that have been there for a few eons, Buddha said, that are totally automatic in me. Why do you think we eat, sleep, and go to the toilet and have sex and drugs and rock and roll without thinking about it? Because we programmed our minds for eons in those habits, in those rituals, giving them those meanings. We're trying to remove those. This is a stupendous job to do. It's an insane job to do. So it needs incredible priming of your mind, not your body, your mind. So doing, what's called a prostration, which has given the meaning of, paying respect to an enlightened being. You say the name of the enlightened being, the 35 Buddhas. You say that name, you use your speech. Speech has a meaning by saying the name of an enlightened being. You create the cause to connect with that enlightened being. And then by having that thought of prostrating, and it's a tough work going up and down on the ground. You don't want to do it, I promise. When I first gave the first practice of he ever gave me, when I first met him and informed him he was my guru. So I didn't know you're supposed to ask. And I wanted to practice. And he said, he was trying to be low key with me because I'm very proud. And he said, he said prostrations. He said, good physical yoga, dear. And he's absolutely right, I promise you. Absolutely right. Good physical yoga, dear. It's true. But you give it meaning, and it's mental. That means the mind. And that's how we create the universe. So the more we buy into that meaning, if I have a knife and I stick it into somebody's heart and kill them, the more I do that with intention and motivation, obviously the stronger impact it has on my mind. If I do it unintentionally, it clearly doesn't have much impact upon my mind. Of course it doesn't. If I fall from a truck with a knife and land on you, oh, so sorry, there's no, clearly I didn't, so it's everything, your mind gives everything meaning. So if you do your prostrations with enormous enthusiasm and want to purify your mind, that's exactly what will happen. You see, we talk about ritual. It's only because it's foreign things, that's all. Everything you do is ritual. There's not a single thing you do with your body or speech in a day that's not a ritual. It's something you've practiced because it's called culture, that's all. And you've given it meaning, and then we buy into the meaning, and then we take it for granted. And we assume it's intrinsic meaning. That's the mistake. There's no intrinsic meaning in a prostration. You give it that meaning. And its purpose is to purify the mind. So you're connecting with the Buddhas, enlightened beings who already accomplished this. You're priming your mind It's like the push-ups and the nutrition and the diet to get ready to go play tennis. So you're priming your mind, you're putting atomic bombs under the delusions in the mind, so that it prepares you to be able to do the job of changing your delusions from delusion to virtue. That's it. That's the purpose of retreat. That's why these two are sent off to all these weird jobs in this retreat they're doing. They all know, don't they? It's not secret still.
No, it's not.
I haven't given it away.
No, it's all in the open.
It's all in the
You can
open.
talk about it.
I mean, they've got to go off and do all these things day and night. You should get, better. Or they're going to do lots of preliminaries and the job, even working on your mind, So due to some karma MJCs they've got, is what they've got to do. Risa said to me when I was in Santa Fe, settling in one place on the phone, you could do a little bit of retreat. No, Rinpoche, I said. Maybe a little bit of lamrim, just occasionally. So that's the purpose of doing these things, preliminary practices. So in Nyung Nä retreat, what that is a particular, again, a way of thinking. It's related to the Buddha of compassion, Chen raising, lots of words you're saying and offerings you're making, and lots of, again, prostrations, and you fast. Now that's intense for most of us. Most people, we are all attached to food. We mightn't be attached to sex. We can give that up easily. We mightn't be attached to, music, but we all love our food, So often there's 8 Mahayana precepts when you do it for 24 hours. The commonest reason people don't take this little set of vows, because you can't bear the thought of only having 1 meal a day. We have a panic attack, don't we? So the thing is that this Nyung Nä, it's a fasting retreat. It starts in the morning at dawn, and you take the 8 Mahayana precepts. You vow to, on the first day, you eat a meal, don't you, on the first day? You eat 1 meal. And then you do lots of practices, 4 sessions a day with lots of prostrations. The second day, you don't eat anything or drink. And if you're really strict, Lama Zopa was talking about this in his book, you don't even, you have to have a thing by the side, and you don't even swallow your spit. You keep this thing, you spit into it all day. You have your whole bucket full of spit. You're not even allowed to swallow your spit. That's fanatic. Because look, and I know I've done 2 only in 45 years. I've done 2 sets of 8 Nyung Nãs. It was like hell. I cannot describe to you the night. I'll never forget as long as I live. I swear to you. The first one I did, the first lot, it was at Chen Raising Institute in the 1980s. You do a series of 8 altogether, 2 days, each one's 2 days, The second day you don't eat or drink, and you do all this prostrating. I'll never forget. And the thing was, the person who led the retreat made us, we were not in between sessions, they wouldn't allow us to lie down. Now for me, if I can't lie, I won't eat, sleep, do anything. If I can lie down and disappear in sleep, I'm happy. Do you understand? It was like, I can't describe I can't describe it. It was so shocking. I'm not exaggerating. Are we communicating? It was so shocking. I couldn't disappear into sleep and just go away. And the second lot I did was in the summer, boiling hot in the Gompo in the middle of the day, absolutely exhausted. And that one we were allowed to lie down. I died between each session. I just disappeared in the deepest sleep on the planet. It's so exhausting emotionally. Because why? Think about it. For just 1 little day, you're depriving your senses. You're depriving attachment, basically. Getting what it wants via the senses. So it is a stupendous practice. You're putting atomic bombs under attachment. How can that not be good? Are we not trying to do that as a Buddhist? It's the most amazing practice, And then when of course you're really devoted, like Venerable Charles, this amazing monk in France who leads Nyung Nãs all the time. He does Nyung Nãs, he prostrates in his spare time. He's as skinny as a rake. He's missing half his teeth. He couldn't care less what he looks like. Lama Zopa calls him the St. Francis of Buddhism. He's unbelievable. He's just a saint. He's a bodhisattva for sure, looks like. The bottom line is we are trying to purify our minds. We're trying to get rid of delusions and grow virtue. That's it. So any practice that threatens your attachment, that threatens your pride, that threatens anger, that's exactly, any practice you do that enables you to hold the tennis racket better and be able to play for 5 hours like Rafa just did when he beat that Russian fellow, then that helps you play tennis, doesn't it? So the job is to play tennis, but he doesn't sit there all day playing tennis. He does his special things. He goes on special diets. He does all his blah. You do all your preliminaries that enable you to then play for 5 hours and win the Australian Open, you know. It's kind of logical when you think of it like that. Everything that we do as a practice, if it doesn't help you lessen your delusions and grow your virtues, it is a complete, absurd waste of time. Do not do it. That's the purpose of these things. That's it. I almost have nothing more to say. You can ask me the questions now. That's the bottom line. But of course, like anything, if you don't understand the concept of tennis and you don't understand the concept of nutrition, you've never heard of nutrition, you won't know why Roger says go and eat bananas but don't eat bread. What's he on about? He's superstitious. Why can't I eat bread? Because you've got to understand nutrition. Well, it means here you can't just leap in and do a prostration thing. It's magic. But no, the logic behind it. That's up to us. No one's forcing us. Got to have enthusiasm for it. Everything you do as a Buddhist, every tiny thing, if it doesn't help you lessen delusions and grow virtues, it is an absurd nonsense. Anything you say, think, say, or do, any tiny thing you do as a Buddhist, every tiny thing has to be for the one purpose, to help you get less deluded and more virtuous. So you can become a Buddha. That's it. That's it. Finish. I have nothing more to say. Honestly, that's the purpose behind it. So you've got to have enthusiasm to buy into that logic, don't you? You just do it because you think you're being a good girl and get praised. You won't last long. You got to buy into that logic. You got to buy into that philosophy. You got to trust Roger. Roger might tell you to do the weirdest things, but if you trust him as a tennis coach, you will do it. That's all part of the deal, like we talked last night, you know. I don't know. What do you think, people? What do you think online? Any questions on that? That's the essence of it, really. So it's up to you. It's up to us, you know. No one's forcing us. Yes, Wolfgang's got a question. Yes, Wolfgang.
So, Venerable Robina, what should be the intention in the prostration? What should we think? It's
Get
not
your
just
hands,
going
sweetheart, I can't quite hear you. We've got a very little weak speaker here. Say it again.
in the prostration, as you mentioned, it's not just going up and down. What should be the intention of the mind? What should we think?
Okay, good. Thank you. So the prostrations are done in the framework of reciting. There's one practice, we call it reciting the names of the 35 Buddhas. It's a group of particular Buddhas, each of which has a particular function. I mean, there's long commentaries on every single one. So the general one is you're reciting the names of these Buddhas as you're doing the prostration. And then your attitude is one of wanting to purify your delusions. I mean, by prostrating, by bowing to somebody, it's a very elaborate bow. And I've got a feeling that, just do you not agree that if you bow to somebody, is that not humility? Would you agree that's a kind of humility or not? Would you think that?
Yeah, it depends on your mind. It depends what you
That's
think.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
When
you're just doing it because you're lying, but it's a very humble thing. So this is it's an enormous practice of humility, and it demands physical energy. Because also, you see, when we do it with that view that we're trying to purify our mind of the delusions, attachment to comfort and aversion, and to the discomfort, and then also arrogance and pride by relating to the Buddhas. A lot of the practices, Wolfgang, this takes us time to think about. When we bring any practice we do, we bring in the Buddhas into the meditation, into the visualization. Because of the power of these enlightened beings, we get some benefit from it. It's not like we get a reflection of it. We get some benefit. So, it's like these particular practice, it's coming from one of the sutras from centuries ago. It's the reciting the names with this honoring the Buddhas, but also wanting to purify your mind, wanting to purify your attachment to comfort, wanting to purify your aversion to discomfort, wanting to purify the arrogance and all the various delusions, and they're all very linked to each other, and to honor the Buddhas. That's the purpose behind it. And it's said to be stupendous purification, putting atomic bombs under the delusions. And because it's a very holistic practice, because we create karma with our body and our speech and our mind. So this practice, you're involving all three aspects. Some of us might be very happy to sit for 1 hour and meditate, let's say, but it's not comfortable to go up and down and bloody puff and pant with a prostration, you know. So it demands some mental energy and some enthusiasm and some conviction in it, because, you know, we create karma with our bodies. And so we're helping purify with our bodies. It's a very nice practice from that point of view. And as Lama Yeshe said to me very nicely, it's good physical yoga, dear, and it definitely is. Do you understand? Are we communicating?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you so much. So there's nothing, I mean, it's okay to also think you're getting fit, you know, because I was just talking to somebody recently, we've been discussing prostrations, and there's a way to do them where you put all the pressure on your lower back, and you really can hurt your lower back. So to do them, and also to put a lot of pressure on your knees, because we crash down on our knees. But the way I've been doing them all my life, because also Lama Zopa told me to do them every morning, every night of my life. So I'm locked into prostrations until death. All right. So I used to do like a couple of hundred. Now I'm lazy, and I do them really fast, naked. I'm sorry to be so because you'd sweat like anything, you know. But I'd like to do them fast because it just gives you enthusiasm. So I do 200 in the morning, really fast, and have a shower after that, and then get dressed. So it was like I enjoyed it because it's like tough, but you really have to make the upper body strong. Because if you put all the pressure on your knees or your lower back, it's just physically, it's horrible doing them, you know. So you have to get strong pecs, you know. I found I've got very strong pecs. We'll work it out later. These are kind of the tricks, you know, otherwise it's nightmares. I see some people do prostrations, you go down there, you stretch themselves back up from the lower back and put terrible pressure on. You know, there's a way to do it that is also good for your body. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a bonus, you know. What else, people? Anybody questions there? Yes, David. Hello, David.
Thank you, Venerable Romina. What if you're physically unable?
Yeah, it's perfectly fine. Lama Zopa says even anyway, the real power is saying the words and the names of the Buddhas. And so you recite it all exactly, and you can't do physical, or just use your hands, you know, just use your hands in the prayer mudra. It's very beneficial.
Right.
Good, David.
Like,
thank you,
my
thank you so much.
broken hand. All right. Thank you.
I understand, darling. Thank you. Yours. See, the other thing too with a retreat, so-called, this, I've only done a couple in my life. I'm not a meditator. I'm so lazy. But I've done one group retreat, like a Vajrasattva retreat. Do you have to do a Vajrasattva retreat too?
Yes.
As well, 100,000.
3 months.
Oh, I can tell you about that. I've done that one. I can tell you about the experience of doing that one. That's my experience. I've done prostrations every day, but not 100,000 or a big retreat. But Vajrasattva is this, okay, that one, that's a mantra. Okay, again, what's the point of saying Sanskrit words? You know, we say, why can't we say our own language? Well, it's interesting. All the Tibetans they never translate the mantras. They've left the mantras in Sanskrit because they all say that the Sanskrit is some kind of very pure sound. I mean, I'm just quoting what they say. I don't know it's true. And what's interesting is this. When we understand the Vajrayana model of how we're constructed, we've got gross body and we have the gross consciousness, which is our sensory consciousness. But then we have a subtle body, which is the subtle wind energy, the 72,000 subtle channels that go through our entire body from head to toe. And then coursing through those channels are all the different wind energies or prana. I mean, this is the basis of health, you know, it's the Indian system, the Chinese system, and certainly the Tibetan one. The Tibetan doctors study this stuff for 14 years, you know, learning all the different wind energies. And this is the point of the Vajrayana. The mental states, which are subtle consciousness, are inextricably linked to their own winds. The 4 elements is the way the physical world is made up of, is what it's made up of. And all minds are inextricably linked to their own set of the 4 elements. So when you go to your Tibetan doctor, she'll feel your pulses, and she can feel the imbalance of those wind energies, and she knows that's linked to your attachment. That's why you have anxiety and panic attacks. She knows these wind energies unbalance is related to your pride, to your anger. They can even understand the karma we created. So it's a very holistic system. So the thing is, as Lama Zopa says, when you even just have an angry thought, that produces first a habit in the mind, but because the mind is linked to those winds, you pollute the winds connected to the anger, and that causes future sickness, imbalance of the winds, and eventually long-term that even impacts upon the external elements, which creates the environmental karma we experience, you know, the imbalance of the elements, the earthquakes, and all the beautiful elements, you know, that's the fruit of virtuous mind. Everything comes from the mind. So mantra is sound. No, sorry, mantra, no, sorry, in this tantric model, the Vajrayana, the wind energy, wind is sound. Wind is sound, and the purest sound is said to be these Sanskrit syllables, these Sanskrit sounds. So saying Sanskrit syllables, you can learn the meaning, purifies your mind tremendously. It purifies the wind energies, and that's your physicality. Negative thoughts, not to mention negative words, pollute your winds, which cause future sickness. Pure thoughts, virtuous thoughts, and then virtuous sounds purify physically, literally, your wind energies, which is your future physical body. This is very tasty. So by sitting there for 3 months, 4 sessions a day, I can tell you from my own experience, it's unbelievably intense. You keep silent, hopefully. You do 4 sessions a day in a group. You do the little practice, you visualize Vajrasattva, and then you spend time, you do 100,000 over the 3 months. It takes about 3 months. It's unbelievable. I mean, I'm not a meditator, but it was incredible the effect it has on your mind. Unbelievable. You feel like an atomic bomb, under your delusions. And you make an effort for this 3 months. You sit there with discipline for 3 months. It's unbelievable the effect that it has on your mind. You see it in your dreams. There's no question. It's incredible to do retreat even for a day, to spend a bit of time with yourself, saying a few mantras. It's not a superstition, not a religion. It's physical as well as mental. So mantra is unbelievable. And this particular mantra, I mean, you get the translation. It doesn't look like it's got much meaning. It says words and this and that and blah, but it's said to be powerful because it's connected to that particular Buddha. Because in the Vajrayana, the mantras are the sound representation of the same Buddha. There's the physical representation and the sound representation. That's mantra. So by saying that mantra, by saying Om Mani Padme Hum, you purify your wind, which is your physical body, you purify your mind, and you train your mind to have the habit of love and compassion. That's the meaning of it. It's got logic to it. It's all, if it's not logical, don't do it. Even a day to sit in one place away from the usual rubbish, already for your mind is profound. So every one of these practices is to help you. They're like the jogging and the push-ups and the nutrition and the diets that enable you to play tennis. That's why they're called the preliminary practices. They prime your mind to be able to get what they call realizations, which simply means to rid the mind of delusions and grow the virtues. That's all a realization is. Playing mental tennis. That's it. That's the purpose of these things. When you understand that, you have enthusiasm for it. So, lamrim, what's that mean? Why do a retreat on lamrim? It's just Buddha's view of the universe. You lay it all out, you say all the words, you think about it, you try to practice it. It's just this path that you're engaging in, starting with controlling your body and speech, then controlling your mind, then practicing compassion, and then, eventually becoming a Buddha. So it's a way of programming your mind. It's a course that you're on. So meditating and thinking about consistently every day these different points. You need realizations of all these. My friend Paula, who did many tantric retreats, 3-year retreats, 4-year retreats on the different deity practices, years and years ago, when I interviewed her in Mandalay years ago, in the 90s, she and Roger, her ex-husband, they were monk and nun, and now she's not a nun anymore, but he's a monk. He's up in Big Sur meditating in California. And she said, I started my 4-year retreat, and I was really excited to meditate on the lamrim in the sessions, because I thought it would help me get tantric realizations. And at the end of the 4 years, she said that what I realized was that by doing the tantric practice of Vajrayogini, for example, that helped me get lamrim realizations. That's it. And what's that mean? Lessening delusions and growing the virtues. That's the job. So whether you do Vajrayogini, whether you do a prostration, whether you do a mantra, whether you do a mandala, doesn't matter what it is, its purpose is to help you do that job. That's it. That's it. That's it. Then you have enthusiasm. And of course, it's tough, because who wants to see their own mind? Who wants to see your junk? You do not know. You do not want to see your junk. You don't want to see your delusions. They come rising to the surface. As Roger, this monk who's now meditating, still up in the Big Sur doing long retreats. Years and years ago, he told me after one of his 4-year retreats, he's out of his brain with extra levels of rage and arrogance. He was going crazy, very distressed. You'd think after the retreat, you'd get better. But the dirt's got to come out. Lama Zopa laughed and laughed when he went to him. Fantastic. The dirt has to come out. The dirt has to come out. The dirt has to come out. So it's not comfortable seeing our own, having our, like a friend of mine is a therapist and a Buddhist said it's like having your hands in your own shit. It is not comfortable. Anybody who does a bit of therapy even, they know, I'm not being rude about therapy, it's fantastic. As soon as you start looking at yourself, it is uncomfortable. And this is good. It's good. We have to see our minds. We're as blind as bats right now. So any practice we do that's intense, that relates to the Buddhas, that's mantra, prostrations, is inconceivable purification. You know, purification is like pulling out the weeds, and creating merit, they call it, is like growing the flowers. That's it. Purification enables you to get rid of the delusions. Creating merit helps you develop the virtues and the wisdom, and that's it. And then you become Buddha. That's it. That's it. So it takes effort, you know, it takes immense effort. We don't like to see our rubbish. We desperately want to stay in our comfort zone. We desperately are attached more than anything to our comfort zone. We want things to be comfortable. As soon as we get outside our comfort zone, we can't stand it. We've got to be, so you've got to have enthusiasm. So enthusiasm, the fourth of the 6 perfections. All the Lamas say, without enthusiasm, without joyful effort, you will not achieve anything. So what's effort? What's enthusiasm? Well, the opposite is laziness. It's very scary to hear about it. The opposite is laziness. The first kind of laziness is the obvious one. Can't be bothered, isn't it? And analyze it. What is the thing we can't be bothered doing? It is logical. The thing we can't be bothered doing is the thing that takes effort. And what's the thing that takes effort is the thing that attachment doesn't want. Attachment's a junkie. It just wants to feel good. So the millisecond you have to stretch beyond that, you want to stop. We don't like making effort. And as all the Lamas say, you won't make any effort if you don't know the benefits of why you're doing something. So we all know the benefits of having money, so we'll work hard. We are happily to work hard. We're delighted. If you really want to raise that money, save that money, I'm just using an analogy. You will work day and night in anticipation of that money, because we know the benefits. You know the benefit of doing anything. We know the benefits, we will do it. If you don't know the benefits, of course you're not going to make effort. We know the benefits of going to the gym. Even then, look how hard it is. You get all excited the first day. You see, imagine the picture of yourself, 20 kilos less, all fit with nice muscle tone. You get all excited. But still, you wake up the third day, oh no. So this is the second laziness. This is the second kind of laziness. You go, oh no, I'm too busy. I'll do it later. Phew. You think you're getting off the hook because that's double laziness. The first one is you first think I can't be bothered, but then you make yourself sound virtuous by saying I'll do it later. But it's not true. Later never comes. And all you do is feel burdened by all these things you're carrying around and what you should do that you don't do. So that's the worst. That's the one that's, I'll do it later. You procrastinate. I've got no time. Well, it's a question of priority, isn't it? When you start with your med, you go to do a retreat, you're all excited, you come home from Kopan and you do your practice every morning. By the third morning, oh no, you're in bed, you're lying, and within a second you're thinking it, No, you think, oh no, it's too much. And then you go, no, I've got to have my breakfast, then I'll do it later, I'll do it tonight. And you feel better. But it never comes. This lie, we're so cheating to ourselves. We're so quick how it happens. It sounds virtuous. So it's like, you never put your breakfast off. You never sort of, I don't think women, we don't wear curlers anymore, do we? Do we put curlers in our hair anymore? Some women, you don't. How do you get your curly hair?
What's that?
Natural.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. I always think, what if there's curlers in our hair? You don't go to work with your curlers in. Oh no, I'm too busy, I have to meditate. Oh, you don't go to work in your pajamas. I was too busy to get dressed, I had to meditate first. No, come on. We're too busy to do our meditation because we don't know the benefit. And it's hard to see the benefit. I mean, talk about Buddha, it's like 2 million years in the future. What do you mean benefit? It's too hard to imagine the benefit. We've got to have such clarity, such courage, you know. And the fact is also, if you get pleasure from something, if some pleasant feelings come, then it sustains you. But most of us don't get pleasure from meditating because we can't meditate. It's only the effort. So of course we give up. So we've really got to have logic. We've really got to understand the reason we're doing it. We've really got to see the reason why you're doing the Vajrasattva, why you're doing these things, why you're working your way at it. Because the world and the pressures of the world are so tremendous. As Venerable said, Dharma is one thing and the world is the opposite. That's it. Whatever's Dharma is the opposite of the world. So if we're living in the world, it's very hard to sustain this clarity, knowing there is benefit to you. No pleasant feelings now, not yet. You have to wait. This is a difficult one. So there's a lot of things conspiring against doing these things, which is why most of us don't go off and do these things, because it's, you know, we don't have enough enthusiasm. We're not convinced enough of the logic of it. It's tough work, you know. And then, of course, we've got to also delight in our progress. We never do that. We always feel guilty. We never think we're doing enough. So we drag ourselves down. You know, you've got to have a happy mind and delight in what you're doing, delight in your session, delight that you're trying your best, even though you can't meditate properly. Delight that you're trying, that you're making an effort. Making an effort is incredible. Making an effort, you create so much virtue because you're really trying. We must remember that and praise ourselves, pat ourselves on the back, otherwise you get exhausted. This is also incredibly important, I tell you. But when you know the benefit, you are prepared, like the gym, you know the benefit. You're prepared to puff and pant and sweat and get exhausted, you know. And I did Kung Fu. I love doing my Kung Fu. 6 days a week, 3 hours of training, 30 push-ups on my knuckles. I'd come home exhausted, but happy. You know, so I was moving forward in what I wanted to achieve. Of course, we're talking samsara here, just the example. And you don't mind the suffering and the pain. You have an arnica bath, lie on bath full of arnica tincture, relax my aching muscles. But I was enthusiastic about it, you know. When you're enthusiastic, if it's hard work, you still enjoy it. Then you enjoy it as well. And then you praise yourself. So we've got to remember all these things, you know. So be very strategic with ourselves. And indeed, first, the problems, you know, as with Roger, he was very distressed because he thought he was going crazy. He thought he was getting worse, not better. But the dirt has to come out. And you know that with the gym. If you think you go to the gym for the first day and come home feeling better, you'll feel 10 times worse. You'll be shocked. You'll discover muscles you didn't know you had, but you know it's part of the progress. And as I always quote, Pamonka Rinpoche says, in the text, in the classic Indian texts, in the description of the 9 stages of single point of concentration, the sign of success at the first of the 9 is you think your mind's getting worse. No, you're just noticing it. That's clear, you know. You're disturbing the peace of the crazy delusions. They're coming up to the surface. So be glad. And that's in daily life, I tell you. I tell you, this is so important. We're so scared of our thoughts. We're so scared of our delusions. We've got to be greeting them happily. If delusions are our problem, we have to see them. Then you can fix them. So be happy to see your shitty mind. Be happy to see your anger and your attachment and your rubbish. Be happy to see it. And that's what comes up when you meditate, when you retreat. They come up loud, screaming at you. Retreats are really intense, especially with groups. You know, I remember when I was at Tushita in Dharamsala for the year teaching there, and I was helping guide the Vajrasattva retreat, these 3 months, these people, I'll give a few talks. And it was so intense among the people. There was 12 of you in a small room like this, smaller than this, facing each other, 12 hours a day. In all this intensity coming up. This one woman, she'd chuck her bell at people. She got angry, you know. I mean, it really is intense because you become so vividly aware of each other in the same room, 12 hours a day, trying to meditate, trying to purify your mind. You see your delusions, you go crazy. Desire rises very strongly for some people. Anger rises very strongly. It's all part of the process of purification. You've got to understand what's happening properly. That's all the dirt coming out, you know. Because you're seeing your mind. The delusions are kind of, you're putting atomic bombs under them. They're loosening the grip, you know. So that means you've got to have such courage to see your mind. And this is the thing, you don't identify with it. You don't identify with it. You're glad to see it. You don't live in denial of it. You see your delusions, you understand them, you hear their concepts, you argue with them, and you know you're purifying. It's really good work, I'll tell you. Anybody else? Any points?
Anybody have any
Yeah,
questions?
Yuval is there. Yes, the sweetheart. Talk to me.
Thank you, Venerable, for everything.
Yeah,
I have a
good.
question about the lamrim retreat, because we earlier, I think last year, we did a lamrim retreat course with you as well for 3 months through
Where was
Laksam.
it? Sorry, where was it?
I think it was the Laksam Zoom. We had it on Zoom through Laksam.
3 months.
But not like it was in
Over a period. Never mind. Okay, good. So go on. What's the question?
So my question was, would that count as a retreat, or is it really about being very intensely indulged in it for?
You mean this particular prerequisite for the lamb?
Yes, yes, exactly.
Okay, what's the answer? Do people know? Do you know, Lars? What's the prerequisite?
We don't. That's what we're questioning the form, the
All right.
2-page form we have also.
What, darling?
We're questioning the form we have. We could
What do you
share
mean
the
questioning?
screen. Can we share the screen, Lars, just to see the list of items it says? This is from FPMT.
Okay, so start at the top. This is the top, but this is in the middle. So go to the very top.
Yeah, go there.
Module 14. Okay, go. Okay, hang on a minute. I'll take my gallery away. I can't see. Won't go away. I can't move the gallery. Can you move it over? I can't see the right-hand words. How do I move the people, the pictures? Can you get them out of the way from me?
Yeah.
Just for a minute. Okay. So make preparations. So description. Make preparations to gain the realizations of the path to enlightenment. So to gain realizations, preparations, to gain realizations. What that means is for the words to sink into the mind and to see the reality of them by undertaking intensive practices for purification, like I said, you know, pulling out the weeds and creating merit, growing the flowers. Specifically, learn why and how to do the practices of 100,000 prostrations to the 35 Buddhas. I've described these 100,000 long Vajrasattva mantras and Nyung Nä is a 2-day retreat in relation to the Buddha of compassion. In addition, attend a 2-week lamrim residential retreat. So it says this last, Yuval, in addition, attend a 2-week lamrim residential retreat, means that all in one time for 2 weeks in an intensive review of the whole path. So that's the answer to that part, sweetheart. So let's look at the other point. So you're clear on that, Yuval?
Thank you. Yes.
Good, darling. So now we have required
Yeah, one more
elements.
question.
Okay, go.
No, it's about it also says here. I'm so sorry. Yes, the Nyung Nä, but it says here, so it's clear. Thank
Okay,
you.
let's look at it. Let's go through. So to complete this module, students must do the following: a 2-week Kopan style lamrim course on lam or lamrim retreat, 100,000 prostrations to the 35 Buddhas, 100,000 long Vajrasattva mantras. It doesn't say you have to do them in retreat, though, does it? You can do them daily. So it's not in retreat. So you have to count them over every day. Okay. So and 3 Nyung Nä retreats to know how to do, and to be able to lead others. Okay. So estimated time, Kopan style lamrim course, 2 weeks, 100,000 prostrations, 2 to 3 months, full-time retreat, or 200, 300 prostrations a day for 1 to 2 years. Okay. You see, the 35 Buddhas is one prostration to each name. So it all depends. Some people take a lot longer. I mean, if you do them very fast, like I'm saying, I did them real fast. So I did 5 sets in 20 minutes. Give me the words back.
And let's have the list. Where's the list?
I want the list back, please. We haven't
We can
finished.
talk about, yeah.
I'm just talking about as I go. So, you know, you can do them fast, and it's good because it gives you energy to do them fast. If you do them too slow, I'll tell you, this is a really good point about prostrations. Okay. Okay. Is that take the words away. Let me look at you again. Okay, I will tell you, if you do prostrations too slow, you'll get absolutely exhausted because there's no momentum. So when, if you go down very quickly and you thrust, that momentum helps you get up quickly. So the whole thing, you get enthusiasm. That's really an important point. If you can do them properly physically, the quicker the better, because then you have it's momentum. But to do them slow motion, that's like walking takes more effort than running. It's the same thing. If you do them slow, it is exhausting. But if you do them quick with energy, the going down gives you the momentum to get up quickly. I can tell you that with certainty. So you got to make your body strong, especially your pecs. I really mean that. Do them properly. Otherwise, it's a horrible experience. Go back to the list, please. Go back to the list. Okay, so estimated time. Okay, we did all that. That's fine. So yeah, so then it's like, yeah, you could do the whole thing. You could do the whole thing in a few months if you did it more intensively. Of course, most people can't go off and disappear and leave their families and friends and mortgages and dogs and everything. Okay, so highly recommended annual 1-month course at Kopan. That would be good to have. It
Open that
fulfills
up
the
again,
what?
Lars,
What?
Lars, can you open that up again? You have the margin showing.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
So then if you did a 1-month course in Kopan, that fulfills your requirement for the retreat. And for pilgrimage, that would be recommended. We're going to start those again soon. And meet as qualified spiritual master, well, that would help, I suppose. Modify way by creating replicas of the Buddhist holy states in one's home or center, reading about each place and doing the appropriate practices. Okay, that's fair enough. That's it then? That's done? That's all that's?
There are reading requirements on the next
Okay,
page.
keep going, next page.
There are.
Requirements. Required reading. Reading include the student material folder, DB required reading, special integration practices, the 8 places of Buddhist pilgrimage by Jeremy Russell, abiding in the retreat and Nyung Nä commentary by Lama Zopa Rinpoche. Okay. Books not included in the student material folder, the preliminary practice of Vajrasattva, the preliminary practice of prostrations, 35 Buddhas, Nyung Nä, the means of achieving the 11-phase great compassion one, the sudden of the Nyung Nä practice. Suggested readings. So all these are provided by the center, or people have to go search themselves. Lars or Tara?
Not provided with the course.
Tara and Lars,
We
are these
can't-
provided?
Yeah, we have not provided them yet. How about that?
Okay, you better get them all so we can do them in nice A5 and phone versions like the rest of the stuff, okay?
Come on.
Okay,
Okay,
okay, thank you, good.
okay.
So I said, go back, I'm finished, go back. Suggested reading. Suggested, the last one, suggested reading, last. But books included in the, so that's books included, Teachings from the Vajrasattva Retreat. It's a big fat book because it's teachings by Lama Zopa, lots of teachings. Books not included, Becoming Vajrasattva by Lama Tupinyeshi, Purification in Tibetan Buddhism, previously entitled Everlasting, others by Geshe Jambagya, so that's good. And Confessions of the Downfalls by Brian Beresford. Okay, that's it. More? That's it. Done.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions? Okay.
One quick question. The
Yeah.
prostrations doing the 35, they're not full out, are they, on the stomach?
What, darling?
The prostrations aren't full on the full body laid
Yeah,
out.
of course, it's best if you can. Of course it is. You
If
don't
you
have to.
can,
You
yeah,
don't have to.
but, okay,
But
yeah,
only if you're sick, probably was reason not to do them.
yeah. Come on, okay.
Okay. Yes, Jeff.
Can you explain a bit about what it says on those requirement on the pilgrimage visit? I think it's pilgrimage to holy sites or something. What that would entail?
Go on a pilgrimage. Talk about a pilgrimage.
It was one of the requirements on one of the.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. It's true. Well, I can tell you from doing about 20 of them to the holy places of Lord Buddha. It's a very moving experience, actually. And all it does is there's something about these places. What we do is we haven't done one for 2 years now. We'll hopefully start again soon. Since 2001, we started them with as a way of raising money for the prison project, which is done, over the years, about $100,000. All the profit goes to the prison project. And I'd never done one in my whole life. So I started leading them, and that was a very moving experience, I can tell you, really true. So you go to these places. We started in Kathmandu, which is not where Buddha was. Buddha didn't go to Kopan. We started in Kopan, do a little kind of retreat there, and then we'd go to the places. There's some holy places in Nepal, but the first one we'd really go to is where Buddha was born, which is technically in Nepal, Lumbini. The holy place there. We go there and we do certain practices. Rinpoche gave us all these practices to do. I had on the phone with me, told me each place to go and what practices to do. We have this prayer book and these practices. And all I found, okay, overall, what I found is after 20 years of doing 20, more than 20, every group would have anything from 15 to 25, 30 people. About 3 weeks would take. Every group of people, it was a moving experience. I mean, many of them weren't Buddhists. Everyone said it was an incredible experience. You kind of like just something, going to these places of the Buddha, places where he meditated. You go to, we started with Kathmandu, we go to Lumbini, then we go over the border to India, and we go to Sravasti, which is way off in the distance. Most people don't go there. And that's where he meditated every rainy season, for 25 years. So I remember Lama Zopa saying that place, people say just meditating there is so special. One of the key things they say about a place to meditate is the key factor that makes it really powerful for meditation is that holy beings have meditated there before. I remember interviewing Venerable Nä. I'm going to send this interview to Nina, she can share it with people. I interviewed him in 1995 in Mandala about one of his first intense retreats. It was a 2.5-year retreat, I think, and it was Shine, shamatha retreat, getting single point of concentration. And it was at our center in Spain, up in the Sierra Nevada, near Granada, up in the mountains. His Holiness Dalai Lama blessed it. I remember in 1982, he asked 10 of us to be His Holiness's security guards during his visit of Europe, and I was one of the security guards. I couldn't believe it. We traveled with him for a couple of months around Europe. And this place, we were there with His Holiness, and he named it Urseling, the place of clear light. And it's basically, he said, it reminded me of Tibet. We're up in the mountains, really ancient, little stone cottages and things. And he said it was really special. So it's been a retreat center for years. And so Venerable Nä did his retreat there, 2.5 years. And what was interesting, he said this, he maybe got to the 5th of the 9 stages of single point of concentration. But when I interviewed him, it was at Kopan. Now, anybody who's been to Kopan knows it's a busy place. It's up on a hill and there's a valley all around. The earlier days used to be nothing in the valley, but now it's just like another suburb, and the dogs are barking and the prayers to Shiva at 4 a.m. and all these things, shouting loud over the speakers. So it's a busy place, and 200, 500 monks living there. But it's busy. But he said, and this is most powerful, he said his meditating at Kopan, his mind got more subtle, more easily than it did at, say, Urseling, which is already a blessed place. So a place that's blessed by the presence of previous holy beings, all the meditators say that, it makes it incredibly easier to meditate. So why I'm saying this now is why you're going on pilgrimage to these places. I mean, in these different places, we'd meditate, we'd say certain prayers, we'd circumambulate, and we'd have teachings. And I had to say blah, blah words, But I can tell you, I don't know much, but I remember always at the place where Buddha taught his first teachings, the Heart Sutra. No, sorry, not the Heart Sutra. We'd go there, Vajra Peak, but where he taught the 4 Noble Truths, Deer Park, near Sarnath, near Varanasi in India. I remember my own experience, often, just me saying words, it was more profound for myself, just for myself, more clear. I remember talking about emptiness one time. It was very clear for me. Just talking about it was clear for my mind in these holy places. There's something everybody said that people had special dreams, special visions, special meditations. Everybody had some kind of experience going to these holy places. I highly recommend it. Not to mention they all bonded and became the best of friends, It was very harmonious. It was very special. We stay in lovely places. It's not suffering at all. It's very nice. We stay in the best hotels possible. In fact, we'd stay in I insisted we stay at the Hyatt in Kathmandu, this amazing 25 acres, this beautiful place. I love the Hyatt. It's a so-called 5-star in Kathmandu. It's not as expensive in Zurich, for example. But everybody just couldn't believe after going to these places in India where some really intense dirt roads and the buses and everything, you end up at the Hyatt. You just can't believe it's an heavenly place, Almost I felt guilty, but I always insisted we have the Hyatt. So come to the Hyatt, okay, on next pilgrimage. It's definitely
the 50-foot buffet.
That's right, exactly. Best amazing buffet, isn't it? People go to the spa, they have to swim in the pool. It's like heavenly. I love the Hyatt. Anyway, and during at the earthquake, they allowed they let people have tents and things on the ground. It's very nice. Anyway, pilgrimage is really special. I can tell you that. It's very special to go to these places. And of course, you make connection with the Buddhas in these places. So it makes it stronger in your mind, you know. What else, people? Anything else? So, I mean, we're going to go to Laudo Trek. We're going to do a Laudo Trek in October, hopefully. We haven't got a pilgrimage booked yet. Hopefully next year, hopefully 2023.
I was going to ask a question.
Yeah.
Can we start now?
I suppose why not? Of course you can. It's so totally insensible. Of course you
Yeah.
can. Sooner the better.
Prostration.
Integrate it
Yeah.
into your life. Of course, sweetheart. Of course.
Yeah.
Very sensible. There's no reason to
Man.
wait. There's no reason to wait. It'll actually increase and help your studies if you start now. Make it
Yeah.
part of your daily life. Absolutely. Very
Yeah.
sensible. Very sensible.
Good.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's all I've got to say. What else? Questions?
Yes. What about if
Yes,
someone,
go on. Go.
sorry, if someone can't really get away from the family on a 14-day retreat?
Well, I'd suggest the person thinks about whether it's possible, not just assume you can't. Nothing's set in stone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything to do with seeing the benefit and making a decision. So I'd suggest the person who thinks you can't get away from the family for 14 days, maybe you start with a thought, I would like to get away from the family for 14 days. Start with that thought and not just immediately say not possible. And you never
Right.
know what might happen.
Right. I
That's a
agree.
really important point. First state what you want, and then you might find the means to do it. Don't just cut ourselves off by saying can't do it. I would suggest that. Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, Jeff, what's the question again?
Is your Laudo trek, is that a pilgrimage and a lamrim retreat in one?
Oh, no, it's true. Good point, isn't it? It's not a, I mean, I would think it should qualify as a pilgrimage. It's going to the holy places. It's going to holy, it's not the places where Buddha was, but we go to Laos, we go to Lumbini. No, we don't go to Lumbini, but I think that could qualify. Why not? We could sneak it in as a pilgrimage. Why not? We're doing it in October. It's only 15 days, and it's cheaper and much harder work. Oh my God, if it means effort is going to, that's the best one. Absolutely. I've never walked up a mountain or even a hill in my life when I happily said to Christina, yeah, I'll do it. Why not? And we came, I tell you. Luckily now they do helicopters, all the sections. So I'm happy to do it with that. So if you can't walk up the mountains, you can go on a helicopter. It's very nice. But staying up in Laudo, because it's sort of 10 degrees below every day and it's hard to breathe. But it's very special. People liked it. They didn't you? So special. Yeah. Okay, darlings, that's it. I don't know what more to say. I'm going to cheat you of your time, but it's time to go home, I think. What time is
A
it?
question or something we could
Oh, yeah. What time?
possibly talk
Yeah,
about.
go on. Go
I
speak.
asked the SPC from Noboleng in Santa Fe, having a meeting with him, Shankar, which text do you do during the 14-day lamrim? He said, the Lama Tsongkhapa, Guru Yoga, or the Buddha.
Sorry, I'm a bit confused now, Lars. What are you saying?
During the 14-day lamrim retreat, I asked the SPC from Noboleng.
Well, he's not anymore. He was. You mean Shankar?
He was, yeah.
Right. So what did you ask him?
I wished which text you do it before the lamrim. He
Sorry,
said,
which text, what, Lars?
he said the Lama Tsongkhapa.
I didn't understand your question, Lars. I'm so sorry, darling.
I was asking Shankar, do you do any text during the day?
I don't understand your words before the words text. I heard the word
A sadhana.
So you asked Lars, what did you ask Shankar?
Do you do any sadhana or read any text during the day? And he just
What
told
kind
me-
of retreat are you talking about, Lars?
the what?
Okay, we'll start again. The question is about doing a 14-day limb retreat. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes,
So first of all, what do you think a lamb retreat is, Lars?
the lamrim. So you read the lamrim, of course. But Shankar's,
What do you mean by you read the lamrim? What do you mean by that, Lars?
you meditate on topics from the lamrim.
So that's what you think the retreat is?
Yeah.
Meditating on the topics. So then your question to Shankar was what?
Do you do anything else? And he told me that we will be reading every day in the morning before breakfast, before we venture into the lamrim. We'll do the Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga.
Yeah, but he's not saying you have to do that. He
No, he just said that's
That's-
what they've been
He
doing.
said what he did when he did the retreat. So he,
Yes,
as a basis, you mean what you're now saying is in the 4 sessions a day, or whatever he did when he did his 14-day lamrim retreat, he would use the sadhana of the Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Thank you very much. Now we're communicating. Good idea. Yes, definitely.